Before you scroll past this one, I need you to know something. What I'm about to show you has NASCAR's own engineers asking questions they don't have answers to. Stick around because secret number 3 is the one nobody's talking about yet, and by the time I get there, you're going to look at Shane van Gisbergen completely differently. Trust me, do not leave before the tire story at the end. It changes everything. American fans think it's luck. They think Shane van Gisbergen is some fluke Kiwi who rocked up to Chicago in 2023, won on debut, and just keeps getting away with it. But they haven't seen what happens at the top of the mountain. They haven't stood at Skyline at Bathurst staring down a 1 in 6 gradient with a concrete wall 2 feet from your door doing 300 kilometers an hour with your heart in your throat. Because if they had, they'd understand what SVG is doing to NASCAR right now isn't skill, it's not talent, it's something the Americans literally can't legislate against because it feels illegal. Denny Hamlin has straight up called him the best road course driver in NASCAR history. Kyle Larson, mate, said, "He's way better than us." Today I'm giving you the 3 Bathurst forged secrets behind SVG's dominance. Secret number 1 will make sense. Secret number 2 will make you laugh. But secret number 3, that's the one NASCAR's engineers are quietly panicking about, and I'll show you exactly what it is before the end of this video. Grab a cold eye. Let's go. Right? Let's set the scene for the Yanks in the audience. Mount Panorama is not a racetrack. It's a public road on the side of a mountain in New South Wales that they close off once a year and let lunatics race on. 174 meters of vertical drop from top to bottom. Grades of 1 in 6. Concrete walls the entire way up the mountain. No safer barriers, no runoff, no forgiveness. You touch the wall at Bathurst, your race is over. You touch it hard, your career might be too. Compare that to a NASCAR road course. Sonoma, beautiful, wide, forgiving runoff. Coda, kilometers of asphalt runoff and soft tire barriers. Even the Chicago street course, as tight as it is, has Tech Pro barriers absorbing mistakes. Bathurst has none of that. You've got the dipper, a downhill left-right compression through the S's where the car goes light, the walls squeeze in, and if you get it even 5 centimeters wrong, you're a passenger. You've got Forrest's elbow, named after a bloke called Jack Forrest who crashed his motorbike there in 1947 and smashed his elbow into the wall. That's the level of respect this place demands. It's the last braking zone before Conrad Straight, downhill, off-camber, and if you overshoot it, you're in the concrete before you can say sorry ma. This is the school SVG went to every year for a decade. 3-time Bathurst 1000 winner, 3 times Supercars champion. When you learn to race with concrete walls a meter from your door, aggressive restarts at Martinsville don't scare you. Rubbing panels with Bubba Wallace at Chicago is a Tuesday. This is where the mindset was forged. And before we go any further, I want you to hold on to that image because everything I show you from here on builds on it. This isn't a bloke who got lucky once. This is a bloke who was built for this the hard way, and America is only just starting to figure out what that means. Keep watching, because what comes next is the part almost nobody outside the pit lane understands. Now, here's where it gets crazier, and this is the bit most American fans genuinely don't know. The NASCAR Next Gen car introduced in 2022 is basically a V8 supercar wearing a Camaro costume. I'm not exaggerating. When NASCAR designed the Next Gen platform, they were in open dialogue with Supercars Australia. Auto Week's own coverage at the launch quoted drivers saying the closest comparison was a V8 Australian supercar. Look at the spec sheet mate. Independent rear suspension, a V8 supercar staple for years, brand new to NASCAR who ran a solid rear axle since the 1940s. Rack and pinion steering, Supercars had it, Cup didn't. Sequential shifter, pull it back, pull it back, pull it back, that's a supercar. And centerlock 18-inch wheels replacing the old 5-lug 15s. For 60 years, NASCAR drivers grew up on a truck-based platform. Then in 2022 they got handed a car that behaves like something SVG had been driving since he was 18 years old. You know that feeling when you switch cars and it takes you weeks to feel comfortable? Imagine the entire garage having that problem. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, all having to relearn car balance with independent rear geometry while a Kiwi walks in from Sydney and goes, "Yeah, nah, this is home." That's not luck. That's not luck at all. That's a decade of muscle memory on a car that's mechanically 80% the same. And the kicker, SVG himself has said in interviews they're similar on paper. He'll admit the layouts are different, the aero is different, the tires are miles apart, but the fundamental philosophy of the chassis, he was ready-built for this car before it even existed. And if that alone doesn't make you sit up, wait until you hear what his feet are doing, because this next part is the reason grown men who've raced NASCAR their whole lives are shaking their heads on camera. Quick one before we push on. If you're watching this from Australia or New Zealand, and I know a heap of you are, do us a favor and smash that subscribe button. This channel is built for us, mate, the Trans-Tasman racing crowd. The ones who watch Bathurst at 3 a.m. and grew up on Peter Brock and Marcos Ambrose. NASCAR Trackline is where we celebrate our drivers taking it to the Yanks on their own turf. Hit subscribe and let's build this thing together. Alright, secret number 2. This one's the footwork. And this is where NASCAR's best drivers have gone on record saying they physically cannot copy what SVG is doing. Dale Earnhardt Jr. broke it down on his podcast after Chicago and it went viral for a reason. Watch SVG's feet in the braking zone. Right foot, toe on the brake, heel rolled onto the throttle, classic heel and toe, standard road racing stuff. But his left foot is doing something no one else in the Cup Series does. He's modulating the clutch live, mid-corner, under brakes. Here's why that's black magic. When you downshift a sequential gearbox into a corner, the engine braking hits the rear axle like a hammer. That load transfers to the rear tires, causes lockup, causes the rear to hop, and destroys your corner entry. Every other NASCAR driver just deals with it. They tune the diff. They use the brake bias knob. They pray. SVG slips the clutch just a feather, just enough to dampen the driveline shock before it hits the tires. He's essentially got a fourth pedal input that no one else in the field is using. Toe on the brake, heel on the throttle to rev match, left foot dancing on the clutch to protect the rear. That's 4 inputs going simultaneously through the same braking zone. Michael McDowell said it plainly, he brakes a little later, it takes a slightly different line. Denny Hamlin's called him the best road racer NASCAR's ever seen. Kyle Larson, who reckons he'd beat Verstappen in equal machinery, has publicly admitted he can't beat SVG on a road course in the same series. Where'd he learn it? Supercars. You had to do it in a V8 supercar because the diff was locked and the driveline would eat you alive if you didn't. SVG's even said in interviews, I used to do it because you had to in a supercar. Now the diff in the next gen is open and he doesn't strictly need to do it, but he still does, because his feet don't know how to stop. That's 10,000 hours of Bathurst muscle memory. You can't buy it. You can't learn it in a season. You had to be there. And that right there, that 4-pedal trick, is exactly why what I'm about to show you next matters so much. Because footwork explains a lap. What comes next explains an entire career. Stay with me. Now look at this, and this one's less about the car and more about what's between the ears. Quick data check before we get into it. YouTube tells me only about 20% of you watching right now are actually subscribed. That's rough me. If you've made it this deep into a technical NASCAR breakdown, you're our people. Do the right thing, hit subscribe. Let's get that number to 50% by the end of the month. Ridiculous ask, I know. Let's do it anyway. The mindset. V8 Supercars is not a polite championship. It is the most physical touring car series on earth. You've got 25 blokes in identical cars, 3 abreast into turn 1 at Bathurst, and the phrase, rubbing is racing, isn't a slogan, it's a survival skill. Panels get bent, doors get caved in. You finish the race with the other blokes paint on your quarter panel, and you shake his hand at Park Firm. Now drop that guy into a NASCAR Cup restart at Martinsville. 2 wide, bumpers loaded, everyone gets rowdy on the green flag. American drivers who've spent their careers on ovals get twitchy. SVG's grinning. This is Sunday afternoon at Sandown for him. He grew up doing this stuff at 250 kilometers an hour with a concrete wall on his door. That's why he's never rattled at Chicago. That's why he passed for the win on the final lap on debut. He wasn't nervous. He was bored waiting for the Americans to get out of his way. And here's the kicker, the big one. The reason NASCAR's engineering rooms are quietly losing sleep. It's not the car. It's not the footwork. It's not even the mindset. It's the right rear tire. I told you this one was coming and I meant it. This is the secret that actually keeps race engineers up at night. So pay attention here, because this is the part almost no American broadcast has properly explained. Here's what Bathurst teaches you that no American track teaches. The Bathurst 1000 is 1,000 kilometers. Stints run 30, 40, 50 laps on Dunlop control tires that go off a cliff if you abuse them. Because Mount Panorama loads the car so heavily for the fast right-handers up the mountain, Griffin's Bend, the cutting, Skyline, the right rear tire is the one that dies first. Cook that tire in the first 10 laps and you're a passenger for the next 40. So Australian and Kiwi drivers learn from their very first season how to save the right rear. It becomes instinct. You feel the tire through your seat, through the steering, through the throttle. You back off just enough. You short shift. You roll the corner instead of stabbing the throttle. Now bring that to NASCAR, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, COTA. Every one of those tracks eats right rear tires, and every American driver was trained on ovals where you save the right side, but the loads are totally different and the tire fall-off curve is nothing like a supercar stint. SVG feels that tire like it's part of his own body. That's why he's fastest in the last 5 laps of a run, not the first 5. That's why Sonoma suits him perfectly. Brutal tire wear, as one commentator put it, which is exactly what he wants. He was literally engineered by a decade of Bathurst thousands to be the best tire saver in the Cup garage. That's not something you coach. That's not something you sim. That's 10 Octobers on the mountain, and NASCAR has no answer for it. So there it is, mate. 3 secrets. The V8 Supercar DNA baked into the next-gen chassis, the 4-pedal footwork the Americans literally can't copy, and the right rear tire whisper that Bathurst hammered into him over a decade of 1,000-kilometer punishment. The Americans thought they were getting a novelty act in 2023. What they got was a Trojan horse from Auckland with 3 Bathurst crowns in his pocket. But before you go, I want you to actually think about what this means for the rest of his Cup career. If the car keeps trending toward independent rear geometry and road course style handling, and if NASCAR keeps adding road courses to the calendar the way they have the last few seasons, this isn't a one-off story. This is a bloke who's about to get more and more tracks that suit exactly the skill set Bathurst gave him. That should terrify the field, not comfort them. So I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments and be honest. Is Shane van Gisbergen the greatest road racer to ever set foot in NASCAR? Or is the mountain just a better school than anything America's ever built? Thank you, genuinely, for watching all the way through this one. It means a lot that you stuck with us for the full breakdown. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you at the next race. Cheers, mate.